You'll experience what is possible when you rewrite history. That limiting belief that has been holding you back, that excuse you give when you decide not to take the next step, that thing the nasty little voice in your head scares you with, well, it probably has its roots in a painful or traumatic event from a long time ago. So long ago that the memory itself may be faded or even vanished completely. And that's quite all right. Memories, especially when they're painful, can be hidden from our awareness. But whether the painful memory at the root of your limiting belief is crystal clear, faded, or even forgotten, you can go free. As you listen to this audio, you'll have the chance to uproot the painful emotions attached to the memory and that limiting belief with it. The result? By the end of this audio, you can set yourself free of that limiting belief for good. So let's relax. You'll want to make sure that you have about 20 minutes to listen to this audio, somewhere safe and uninterrupted, in a comfortable position with closed eyes. So close those eyes now when you're ready, and just listen and relax. And as your breaths become deeper and fuller, you feel so relaxed, as if you've escaped into a secret world where everything is all right, where you feel calm and clear and focused. So first of all, find that limiting belief that has held you back until now. That limiting belief which is probably the objection that often comes up when you want to do something new or brave or significant. And it probably presents itself as a great universal statement such as, I'm never, I'm not, I can't, or it always. Something like, I never succeed at anything. I always mess up. Things always get blamed on me. I just don't get on with people. Life's always unfair. It never happens to me. Do any of these sound familiar? Of course, you'll have your own special version, like a stuck record of the same thought playing over and over again in your mind. So find that one limiting belief you want to work on today, and just say it to yourself now in your head so it's clear. So, you've spelled out your limiting belief now, and you need to keep that sentence in mind for this process. And you don't need to analyze it or know where it came from or what started it, just know what it is. Now, let me ask you a question. If you were free from this limiting belief, how would you feel? How would you feel right now? What would it be like emotionally? Just see yourself right now, but free from this belief. What would you look like? How would you move? How would you interact with others? How different would your voice sound? How would you feel physically and emotionally? What would going through life without this limiting belief be like? For a moment, just play with this and imagine what it's like to be free from this limiting belief. Okay, wouldn't that be worth getting rid of? So let's take a few minutes to free yourself from that limiting belief rooted way back in your past. And still with your eyes softly closed, just bear in mind how many times a day you wander in thought. How many moments you spend daydreaming, relaxing, and just feeling calm and relaxed in a self-induced trance. And as your eyelids become even heavier and your breath becomes deeper, you'll feel the familiar sensation of drifting, the sensation of moving away from the outside world as you go just a little deeper inside, focusing on the sound of my voice, seeing the thoughts and images that cross your mind as your body melts further and further into stillness. Keep your awareness on the feeling of your breath. Feel the lifting and falling of your chest. And move your breath lower into your belly. Feel the relaxation, just relaxing. And if you notice yourself drifting farther away from my voice, just focus again on your breath and come back to the rhythmic sound of my voice as I take you on a short journey. Can you hear in the distance the sound of music? It sounds like a fairground. It's that golden light just before dusk, and walking towards the sound, you come across an old-fashioned fairground. Gentle music playing. Still quiet before the evening crowds arrive. The attractions are all ready, waiting in anticipation of the people to come. The wonder and the happiness they'll bring. The pastel-coloured carousel with its candy-coloured ponies frozen in time. The roller coaster. The bumper cars. The big wheel reaching all the way up into the sky. And of course, all the sounds and smells and sensations. The hurried scuttling of stall owners and performers getting ready for the night to come. The smells of the treats on sale. The sweet smell of cotton candy, toffee apples, donuts, hot dogs, all blending into a delicious aroma. There's a shiver of excitement in the evening air as the few customers go past in the calm before the crowds arrive. But over beside the ticket stand, you can see one child who seems out of place. One who doesn't seem to be in the spirit of the fairground at all. Shoulders slumped and head lowered. Sad-eyed. Moving closer, you can see they're wearing a little backpack and they're holding back tears. They look so sad. Maybe even hopeless, bewildered, lost in a world they don't yet understand. And as you approach, the child looks a lot like you at that age, you notice. Can it possibly be? You whisper your own name, and yes, the child looks up. This child is you. Your former childhood self. And it seems they need a little help. You gently ask them what's wrong, and to your surprise, the child whispers back the exact words of your limiting belief back to you. The very same words you spelled out just a moment ago. That same limiting belief that has held you back for so long. Your heart goes out to your childhood self. This innocent adventurer in a world that doesn't always make sense. This confused younger self carrying the burden of this limiting belief like a heavy load, like the backpack they're wearing. And suddenly, you understand. That child will go through life and end up exactly like you. holding on to that limiting belief that has kept you in chains, that has limited your choices and opportunities. They'll carry that through life unless something helps them. It's so unfair for this child to have to go through what you have. They're only a child. They shouldn't have to bear such a burden or be held back by such a belief the way you have. And as you see it in this new light, you go to comfort the child who was your former self and notice how that belief seems much less reasonable, much less true. You know that you're not here to give the child answers, but to ask the questions that can lead to discovery. This child shouldn't have to carry this limiting belief, but how do you help them? Take the child by the hand and sit together on the seat just beside the ticket stand. That's quite a thing to believe, you say to the child. Why did you believe that? Now, maybe the child doesn't know, or maybe they explain how this belief came about, what happened. The story might be short, or a long one, or simply, I don't know. But just listen to them. And just notice that event so long ago, far away, faded, muted, harmless. And notice that admittedly, from a child's point of view, this limiting belief actually makes sense. But from where you sit now, with all your life experience and knowledge, and your adult sense of perspective, that belief actually doesn't seem nearly as watertight. And possibly, even probably, that belief started as a disproportionate response to an event. But you just nod, acknowledging the child's version of events. I understand, you respond. That does make sense in a way. But this thing you believe, is it always true? And the child answers, maybe very hesitantly, that, well, sometimes it isn't. And you can ask the child now to think of a time when that belief hasn't been true. Just one time. You can wait. And as they find a time when that limiting belief wasn't true, you can nod and acknowledge them. That's right, you say. And when else? Because there were times when this was not true. And talking to the child, if they struggle to think of anything, you can help them. As an adult, you can think of times for them and ask them, hey, do you remember that? And tell them about times when that belief was not always true. Because that limiting belief was not absolute truth. You can detect the uncertainty, the signs of having to question what seemed to be the ultimate truth. So now you have examples. Take advantage of this and ask the child, so this thing you believe, how has it helped you? Because that belief will have seemed to be useful at times. And notice the child's answers. Help them think of it if you need to. Has this limiting belief prevented risks? Has it kept the child safe, physically or emotionally? Did it keep them out of trouble? Chances are, this limiting belief came about for some kind of self-protection. But you know this belief has served its purpose. There is a flip side to this advantage, to this safety. So now you speak to the child again. I know that believing this has kept you safe, but has it also kept you from doing things you really wanted to do? And notice how the child hesitates before nodding, reluctant to admit that this belief has often cut off exciting possibilities. It's led to lost opportunities. It's limited them in what they could do, what they could achieve, limited the life they could have. And just notice the child's face as the belief's credibility starts to crumble. In the child's eyes, see that suffocating, limiting belief loosening its grip. You knew that you're not here to give the child answers, but to ask the questions and lead them to discover the truth. And now you've asked those questions, there's not much left to say. You want to give the child time to digest this new understanding, this liberation from that limiting belief. So you see that the big wheel has opened for the evening, and you wink at the child and buy 2 tickets. The 2 of you go to the big wheel and settle silently into your seats, but there's not enough room. So you ask the child whether it's okay to leave the backpack with all that weight behind, all that limitation. The ride manager can put it somewhere safe for you. And as you take your seats, the wheel starts moving right away, moving up, up, and up as the horizon extends and the world below shrinks until that backpack and that belief that had been carried for so long just disappears completely. And as you and the child look out over the distance under the glow of the evening sky, you realize something. You feel lighter too. That limiting belief has released its grip on you as well. That limiting belief had been the belief of a child, born out of innocence, ignorance, and lack of understanding. And as the child released it, so did you. Taking a last look out over the evening panorama before returning to solid ground, say goodbye and give that child a hug, because you know how much better things will be from now on. And wave them goodbye for now as they skip away without a care in the world. And notice they've forgotten the backpack, and although you take just a little time to try and find it, it's nowhere to be found. And with the thrill of that thought, you feel